Good morning. Time is here again. The title for this morning is a question. Why the emphasis on common law instead of natural law? Today is another one of those days where I have several things I could talk about. Yet I totally changed the subject after coming to the computer from meditation. I will respond to a question from one of my new friends on Facebook, even though he is on a list waiting for my approval. He stated, quote, "Most of us light workers know we came under common law on the 31st of December 2012 or even earlier as per OPPT. Please explain to me why common law, as it is still based on religion and not God's natural law." End quote. That seems like a good question, so without giving it a great deal of thought, I will share my first impressions. Indeed, there were a number of things that I could have talked about. And when I see the new friend requests, there's now 17 people on my list waiting for approval because you're only allowed to have 5,000 friends on Facebook. And I noticed just before I started that the number dropped down to 4,999. So I'm allowed to add the oldest one from the list. And then there will be 16 remaining. So just so that you know, I have a fan page. You can join my fan page anytime. I still have lots of room there, and there's no limitation there as far as I know. And there's only numbers in the hundreds. I didn't look. I don't remember how many I have there, but it's not a big number because most of the people that are my friends still stay on my main Facebook page, which is where most of the dialogue takes place. In any case, I thought that was a good question. And let me back up. Last night, I went to Kirtan, and I go every once in a while to a Kirtan, and that's a chanting, a call and a response type of Hindu worship, if you will. Devotional songs to the various names of God in Hinduism. Not that there are many gods. There's one supreme being, but wears many faces and has different names. It's a concept that some monotheists struggle with. But I sat next to a lady who was there for the first time. It was her first kirtan. She's only visiting this area for a couple of months on a temporary assignment. And I went out before they did their last song because she left and I followed her. Since she had been sitting next to me and I knew it was her first time and I wanted to talk to her further, and she said it feels strange to be singing to these other gods when as a Christian, we have the ultimate. Why would we go backwards? And I explained to her my take on it, that a true Christian, or for that matter, a true Buddhist, a true Hindu, a true Muslim, a true Jew, a true any other, name your religion, pick your religion, one that is most true to the principles, the core principles of their religion. I'm saying core principles of their religion will ultimately see the similarity and recognize the divinity in all of it, and will be able to embrace the entirety, because consciousness is about expansion and making more room so that you can love more. That's natural law. The natural law of the universe is love, and the basic principle is thou shalt do no harm. Thou shalt not hurt another. Thou shalt love. Love is, thou shalt not hurt another. Thou shalt do well by thy fellow companion on this journey of life. Thou shalt not harm them. Your free will, you can explore whatever you want, but your free will ends where the other person's, the next expression of God's freedom begins. There's a boundary. There is a boundary, and it's defined by love. That's natural law. Now, the OPPT has been criticized by some because it's based on the admiralty or maritime law of the Uniform Commercial Code. And it needed to be there because the Uniform Commercial Code is actually the law by which things have been governed, except it has eroded more and more and more as the lawyers serving the bankers and serving the politicians who also serve the bankers make laws, or bend the law, if you will, so that there's no accountability. Hence, corporations have no accountability. It's limited liability, or if you're high enough up on the totem pole, no liability. That's the law of the jungle that we've been operating under, and it has nothing to do with natural law. It has to do with national security, or more specifically, criminals protecting themselves from accountability and prosecution. That's the law we've been under, and it was important for the OPPT, for the One People's Public Trust, to chop that system down at its root, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, which has been established by which supposedly the world has been operating. But before there was the Admiralty Law or the Maritime Law, or truly military law, which is what it really is. They're military courts in the United States and around the world. They're military courts. It's under martial law, if you will, which is, again, the law of dictators, the law of totalitarians, the law of people who don't abide by the natural law, who think they have the right to take other people's right to free will and free choices away from them. The Constitution of the United States basically is common law. Okay? And common law is actually based on natural law. Thou shalt do no harm. That's what common law is. But as law has evolved in human culture, the the natural law has been eroded to give people what was the Catholic indulgences, to give allowances for people to break the law, to break the natural law, because after all, we're in charge. We're in charge. Law is based on revelation or remembering. And yes, common law is tied to religious books and religious revelations that have come to us not just from Christianity, not just in the Holy Bible, but from the Quran and from Hammurabi's Code and from ancient texts in the East. I'm sure from the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas and the writings of the Tao that just give us common sense stuff that people that are in touch with nature and in touch with nature's creator, if you will, or nature's God, it's just common sense to them. But there's no common sense in the law that we've been under. So all of this stuff is bridges. It's all bridges to bring us back to the purity of natural law, which is thou shalt love. I know I emphasized thou shalt not harm. But the real law is thou shalt love, because love is the nature. It is the natural essence, the natural condition of creation to show love. We're seeing that more and more, even as animals, which are natural enemies, are shown to become harmonized with each other. You've seen the things on the internet, the beautiful YouTubes of animals that would not necessarily be seen to be even interacting with each other than one eating the other one. But that's changing, and we're watching it change before our eyes if we focus there. I mean, we can see whatever we focus, and we choose what to look at or what not to look at, what to listen to and what not to listen to. We make those choices. But if we look at the things from a holistic point of view and recognize where someone is trying to violate your space, your free will, trying to impose or force you to do something against your will, and you naturally resist that. And it's good that you resist that, because we have to establish our identity. Now, a lot of religion teaches the opposite of that it's not about establishing identity, it's about remembering that there is no such thing as identity. No, that's not what evolution is about. Evolution is about forgetting and remembering again. It's about learning unity through the process of separation. Ooh, that's hard. That's hard because when we take on bodies, the bodies look separate one from another. And so natural law breaks down because we think we're separate. Fear comes in, and when fear comes in, it distorts everything. It's like putting it through a prism, but the colors might all be there, but it's a distorted image through that prism of fear. And the image gets so distorted that we think somebody's going to take our rights, so we take their rights before they do. It's do unto others before they do unto us. And that's the law of the jungle, if you will, but it's a distorted law. Natural law comes from love. Natural law comes from the essence of what Creator is, and the Creator is love, and love allows experimentation. Love allows us to follow our path, to discover again who we are for the very first time, who we always were, that we were without beginning and without end, without birth and without death. And so a person who awakens more fully automatically, I wanted to say automatically loves, but even that's a process, because we've been so trained and so conditioned to see separation and to respond to that separation by fearful thoughts, and therefore fearful projections and fearful experiences, fear-filled experiences. It takes time to come back, hence bridges. Ultimately, there won't be a need for religion, just as there won't be a need for money, just as there won't be a need for governments, just as there won't be a need for manufacturing, because we will have remembered who we are and remembered the power and the gifts that we have to manipulate the universe or the material or the energy of creation to fulfill whatever we need. But we're not there yet. It's a progression from this, where we are now, to that next step where we are headed, ultimately to the perfection. And maybe then it starts all over again. I don't know. Do you know? There's lots of things I don't know. And not knowing is a very important characteristic of those that are awakening, because you can't awaken to anything when you think you already are awakened or you think you already know. Catch 22, isn't it? So I appreciate my Aussie friend from Melbourne, Australia, who says I'm a keen follower of yours. I just want to tell you how much I enjoy your messages, as they are different to so many channels. They come from the heart. Thank you for that. That's a compliment, Dirk. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your question. It took me in a totally different direction than what I was in just prior to coming to the computer and reading that message. And I think it's an important message to consider, and I hope I've shared something that triggers some thought and feeling in your experience so that you can open up your mind and your heart and expand more into the life and love of natural law, which is the law of the Creator, which is where we're all headed to co-create a better world, a better experience, and perhaps even heaven on earth. Thank you for listening. Namaste.